What is going on, everybody? 'Tis I, the enigma of the gun airwaves, Miyanovich, welcoming you to Season 3 of the Liberal Gun Owners Lens podcast, where unprecedented perspectives are packed into the cargo hold for the LGO Lens spaceship Voyagio.
That's fucking Italian.
Don't believe that evolution is possible with guns and public safety in America? It's already happening, y'all. Minds are evolving. Think guns versus public safety is the only game in town, do ya? Think culture war is the big boss, do ya? Then keep your ass in the past. Everyone else, all aboard! Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Liberal Gun Owners Lens podcast. It is great to be back. Hope you're enjoying your summer. Today, I am introducing a series with longtime developer and original LGO queen bee, Carmen Thompson. Everything that you need to know about Carmen is discussed in this podcast, so I do not want to cover much of her bio here. I do want to say that both Carmen and her husband Howard are irreplaceable LGO developers and supporters, both being constantly active in essential LGO support and development. It is essentially impossible to consider one without the other. Howard and Carmen are an adorable, inseparable couple, and they deserve their own portmanteau, like Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez's Bennifer. Perhaps something along the lines of Carho? Okay, probably not fucking Carho. Anyway, we'll work on that. It would be impossible to value the establishment of LGO as a phenomenon without mentioning Carmen and her irreplaceable investment. Thought you might like to get to know a bit about her. So, without further ado, please join me for this multiple-part series with LGO Dev Gru Queen Bee, Carmen Thompson. I will say, Carmen Thompson, welcome to the Liberal Gun Owners Lens podcast. It is great to have you here finally.
No, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
I will have laid in at this point the bio, the Carmen Thompson bio up front, and I will talk about Howard. So, because we're going to say Howard about 1,000 times probably, and then it's recording, and people will be, if I don't, they'll be like, who the fuck is Howard? So you are, I guess, what I would consider the Liberal Gun Owners Queen Bee. You are the original female developer, right? Like if there was an early version of the Matrix, like you would be the oracle or the top female energy of LGO. You've been with us pretty much from the beginning. You've been in the moderator room on the Facebook page from very, very early on, well over a decade at this point.
Yes.
Everybody out there should understand that whatever it is, whatever dirt we've been chewing and shit sandwiches we've been eating and whatever victories we've had, Carmen has been there every single fucking day, pretty much, for over a decade. She's been there with us with all of the things. And that, of course, is majorly important and has been so, so valuable. My first question would be, how in the hell did you get into guns? Like, what was your first experience with guns? When did that happen? What happened?
Well, I was raised in a home where there were no guns. Guns weren't a subject at all. That was on Long Island, New York. But my first actual shooting a gun was a friend of Howard's. It was a Navy buddy of his. And Zibby and I really enjoyed it. He showed me some of his Mausers. We went out. We all went to the range, shot it, enjoyed it. And pretty much from then on, I wasn't non-gun. I wanted guns, but when our child was young, we did not want to have guns in the house. So we didn't actually buy a bunch of guns until after she was of age.
The house that you grew up in, were your parents anti-gun? Were they or just was one of these things where it's New York, there aren't really guns and nobody had guns?
Yeah, it simply wasn't on their radar. Not at all. Yeah. My father didn't come from a household with guns. My mother didn't come from a household with guns. They both grew up on Long Island.
So people probably don't know this, and maybe this is me giving too much away, and maybe some official will show up at your front door. But Howard has a lot of guns now. Like Howard, it's quite a lot of guns. And you together, both of you.
Right, we do. We have like more than Texas normal amount of guns.
Yeah. And I considered Howard and yourself like fervent gun collectory people. Like, you really are. And like, there are people that have guns, and then there are people who are like, I fucking love buying guns. Like, you guys, you're not assholes about it, but you're not gun nuts either. You're not a gun nut person, but you guys definitely love to buy guns and get into guns. So you're telling me that the first time that you shot was with Howard and with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then also when you had your daughter, you didn't want to have guns in the house. So did Howard own guns? Like, even though did he have them off site somewhere, or there's like zero guns?
There were zero guns. He had them.
Okay.
He had a hunting rifle as a child and as a young man. But we did not have any guns in the house because our child, her behavioral issues were such that we wanted to make sure that they were well and truly under control and that she was an adult before we brought those guns into the house.
Yeah, that's awesome. And maybe that's something we can talk about today too, because that's the reality for some people. And, there's liberty and then there's being dumb. Right. So,
right.
And of course, for, liberal gun owners, and for a lot of the growing portion of what I would consider the advancing part of the gun community, mental health matters. And that combination of good mental health, and gun ownership, very, very important. So awesome move on your part. Good call on the part of you and Howard. However, once your daughter when does she goes to college at 18? Is this what she leaves?
She went to college. She didn't leave. She stayed at home, but she was so stable that it was no longer an issue.
Okay. So then the brick comes out of the dam and Howard turns into this fucking thing, right? When you're probably dragged along in it. Like, was it immediate? Like, boom, the dam bursts and Howard's like off to the races on buying guns.
No, it wasn't until we moved here to Texas and we started going, well, we don't have this. And then my dream gun showed up on an auction site that was at Wolverine. Then he got what he wanted. And then we went to gun shows because they were here. And then we saw these lovely revolvers because I have a soft spot for those.
Yeah. What was the revolver that the first training that you guys brought that I shot?
Was that the big one?
Yes. Well, how long is the barrel on that one?
I think it's 8 1/4 inches.
Yeah. It was 8 or something like that. Because I'm running around on that during that first training that we did for LGO, and I'm trying to do so many things. We had talked about that, and you guys kept reminding me, Randy, you got to shoot this. Randy, you got to shoot this. I loved it. It was great. And also, I wanted to interject here and just say, it sounds like I'm talking to Carmen, lead LGO Queen Bee, top female, and I'm talking an awful lot about her husband. So it might sound misogynistic. It might sound like, okay, well, let's have Carmen on to talk about Howard. Or anytime we're talking about Carmen, we're going to dominate and talk about the husband because he's the most important. It could seem like that. But let me assure everyone out there that's listening that Carmen's in fucking charge. That's it, period. Carmen's in charge. That's all there is to it. And so even Howard would admit that. So, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it in the best way. So I just want to counterbalance that off with anybody out there that would be like, oh my God, this is Carmen's episode and fucking Randy's talking about Howard the whole time. Well, I just want to get it in there, like the history and so on and so forth. But everybody knows that Carmen's in charge.
It really depends on the area. It depends on if it's his bailiwick or mine.
Sure.
You have to say it, right?
Sure. Cool. Well, yes. But also, if you talk to Howard on the phone, there is no I have a bailiwick, she has a bailiwick, my wheelhouse, her wheelhouse. There is Carmen's in fucking charge. That's what I believe that. If that's a mythology, I also believe it because Howard believes in it. What was the first gun that you guys bought that was just for Carmen?
That was just for me. It was
That was Carmen's gun.
Yeah, it was a Smith & Wesson J-Frame revolver, and it was in .32.
Okay.
And we saw it at a gun show. It had been a safe queen its entire life. There was like no scoring on the cylinder. It was pristine.
Yeah.
So I bought it, and then I used the heck out of it. I mean, I would put blisters on my finger. I love that thing.
Yeah, yeah, God, when you guys have it, like, I think most people, when you feel a nice, crispy revolver, it doesn't feel like anything. It feels amazing. So I can see how it is that you went in that direction. Was there a reason why you went for 32, or was that it was just happened to be 32 and the revolver was fucking amazing?
It just happened to be 32, and because it was 32, Howard had to learn to reload. So that was when he got into reloading, was because of my gun.
Okay, and you still have that revolver?
Oh yes, I would. That would be one of the last ones I would get rid of.
Yeah. Do you still shoot it at least annually, or is it like?
Yes. That gun gets pulled out every once in a while just because it's such a nice little shooting gun.
I'm so tempted to try to get close to the number of how many guns you guys have, but I don't want to do it. I'll ask you that question off the record.
Let's just say we're super owners.
Yeah, super owners. That's good. Super gun owners. What is it? I was just at the David Yamani's book launch, and he brought up 3% of the gun owners own 90% of the guns, or something crazy like that. Super owners.
I think that super owners is a term that was come up with by Harvard researchers when they were, I believe it was Harvard, when they were trying to research gun ownership in America, and that was a term that came from them. There's a specific number. I think it's like 17 or more. So we're both super owners. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got that first revolver, and then that first 32. What year was that? Do you remember what year that was?
Probably, I want to say 2009, 2010, maybe. Okay. That was my first just me gun. Not that he can't use it, but.
Sure, of course. And when did your daughter turn 18? What year was that? So I'm trying to figure out when the dam broke loose.
She's 33 now. So it's been a while. She turned about 15 years ago. She turned 18.
Yeah. So it's 2009.
Yeah, it was about that time.
Okay. All right. Okay. And what do you remember what Howard got first?
Oh, Lord. I want to say it was a Glock. That was his first handgun. That's what I want to say anyway. It's, we've got more than a few, so it's kind of hard to remember who got what when. And
I probably don't put this in the bio, but Howard only has one hand because he lost his other hand to cancer. Did he have two hands when he bought the gun, or did he have one hand when he bought the gun?
Let's see. Well, he would have had one hand by then because he's had, it's been 20 years since that amputation.
Okay. I'm going to have Howard on eventually so we can talk about Howard being a one-armed bandit in that episode. But it's always interesting. I learn a lot when I'm around Howard and shooting, because when we talk about things or we talk about adjustments or whatever, it's a whole different world for him. Having a robot appendage on or not, right? It's all very interesting. So, so you got your revolver and Howard got his Glock. And then has it been just like a steady kind of like, ooh, let's just get this one? Or do you guys go through like peaks and valleys? Or was there holy shit, Howard, you need to slow down? Has there ever been any of that?
Right now we're probably in a lull. It kind of started right around the time of the pandemic because, of course, you couldn't go out as much. Yeah. But for a while there, we were just, every time we turned around, we're like, oh, we don't have this. Or, wow, this would be nice to have.
Yeah. I don't even know, do you conceal carry? I don't know if I ever asked you.
I don't generally conceal carry. And that's basically because for me, self-defense, the very first consideration is don't go places you think you might need it, sure. and I don't.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably the case for most all people. And I try to tell people when we talk about self-defense that I talk about what's called prospection, which is thinking about things in the future that might happen, right? So prospection is a normal thing for humans, whether it's insurance, your money, right? Planning strategies. We do that, right? And so the reality of self-defense with a gun is based on normal prospection. The things, when we buy insurance, how many times does the tree fall on the house? It just doesn't. It's not going to likely fall on the house. So self-defense firearms are just a natural expression of prospection. And when people get into this argument about potentially trying to define the whole thing by not really needing it, it's great that we recognize that, but it's also important. I'm speaking more to the people that shit on self-defense guns, right? As if it's way out of left field to wear a gun with you because the chances that something might happen are not very good, which is true. It's just, but when people do wear the gun, typically it's just about normal prospection. And it's okay. If people choose to do it, that's fine. If people choose to not do it, that's also fine. If you choose to have home insurance for the thing falling on the thing, cool. If you don't, cool. But I wanted to ask you because I really wasn't sure. I didn't know if you ever got into the whole world of trying to make one of those revolvers feel good around your waist when you're out doing the grocery shop.
I wouldn't bring a revolver.
Right.
But that's mostly because of what I've learned over the years. I wouldn't carry off body. I wouldn't use a revolver. I would probably, I do have a nice little SIG P938, and that would be what I would carry. Yeah. I've had a number of self-defense specific guns over the years, and the first one was an LCP, which was a little piece of crap. Terrible little gun. That first gen was terrible, but. Yeah. But now I've got that SIG, and I think that's probably where I'm going to stay for a while.
Yeah, and Ruger makes the LCP, right?
Right.
It makes Ruger? Yeah.
Ruger makes the LCP, SIG makes the P9. Yeah.
I hope Ruger's listening, that they heard that. Okay, I'm just trying to get it, because we've all been on the range together before and shot, but I don't have, like, the deep Thompson history of, like, how everything goes. How close is the closest range to your house, like? When you guys go and shoot?
About 5 miles.
5 miles?
Yeah. Okay. It's pretty close. It's a nice one.
Okay. Yeah. Can you guys, is there the capacity to scoot and shoot there, or is it all like static, like you have to stand and shoot?
No, we do have to stand and shoot. The one thing about that particular range is that they've got a variety of types of people to help you with firearms. They've got women, they have people of color, they have old white guys, They've got just pretty much anyone that you might feel comfortable with, depending on who you are.
What's the name of that, Rich?
Buck and Does.
Buck and Does. And Buck and Does in the San Antonio area. And so they have like, they're not like misogynistic and...
No.
Yeah, like good old boy, Confederate flaggy, NRA assholey types.
No, they aren't. And that's hard to find.
That's awesome. And you guys live just a couple minutes from it. That's cool. A couple miles from it.
Well, it's San Antonio, so 5 miles can be, 15 minutes depending on the day. But
yeah, sure. One of the things that I wanted to do is, I have this giant list of when LGO gets back into black with financing. I just want to, but in addition to doing the Fort Worth training, just jump in the car and then just drive to Texas and then drive to everybody's house. Like, go see Josh, go see you guys, go see Will, go see Martin and Seamus, go see Ron. That was going to include go see Casey, but now he'll be in Pittsburgh. I don't have to do that. That is definitely one of the things I want to do is like come visit you guys and then go to Buck and Does with you and like see it, and shoot. So I understand, your vibe. And so what's your favorite? Is it still the 32 or do you have like, what's your favorite right now? Let's see this. Favorite pistol, favorite rifle.
Okay. Favorite pistol. There's like 2 of them. For shooting, Glock. It's boring. It works. I mean, I put hundreds and hundreds of rounds through it. Our first training, I didn't clean it at all until after the training was over. So there was huge amounts of ammunition put through it, and it still just went flawlessly. So it's hard to hate a gun that is that reliable. For aesthetics, it's got to be the Whitney Wolverine that I have. That is, it's got 1950s aesthetics. It was designed by a man who, in addition to designing this firearm, he designed furniture, mid-century furniture. So it had that lovely aesthetic. As a piece of art, it would have to be the Wolverine. My
Okay.
favorite rifle, I tend to really like bolt action rifles. I had an H&R. I think that we've since gotten rid of it because we had to get rid of a few anyway to make room in the safes.
Sure.
And it was a
What caliber was it?
223. But it was a youth model because I'm 5'7", which is not super short, but most rifles are designed for the average male at 5'10".
I don't know where you are publicly with talking about what's going on with your health, but it might be an interesting conversation to talk about like that and guns. Is that something that you want to talk about, or just keep it
I'm fine
private?
with that.
Okay.
I'm fine talking about it.
Okay. So we have an interesting thing going on with Carmen. Maybe Carmen can talk with us about it. I think it would be important to talk about this with guns. What is going on with you? You have an interesting little monkey in your nervous system. What's going on with you in your health currently?
I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease a few years ago. At first, it was just a slight tremor in one hand, and I didn't think anything of it. I was being treated for cluster headaches. And a couple of years after I'd been seeing him, he finally told me that from his observations that he said that I had Parkinson's disease. Apparently, when one walks and you have Parkinson's disease, the arms don't swing normally. One will swing much less than the other. And that's pretty, I guess, sentinel sign for Parkinson's. And so he told me that in 2020. I almost made it out of 2020 with no bad health stuff. Then he told me that in December. It's like, thanks, Doc. So I do have to make some adjustments. And I have to ensure, because my right hand is still pretty good. It's just got a slight tremor, but just slight. So I have to kind of make some adjustments so that left hand doesn't get to say too much in my stance.
Yeah.
Holding that firearm.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm a big fan of the comedian Billy Connolly, the Scottish comedian and actor. He's also an excellent actor. And he has Parkinson's. And when he told the story of how he found out, as he was, I can't remember where he was staying, but he was staying in a hotel because he had a performance somewhere in some arena. And there was a doctor that was one of his fans that was staying in the same hotel. And that doctor was a specialist in Parkinson's. And the doctor was on the other side of the lobby, and he saw Billy walk in and walk to the desk. And that was how the doctor knew that Billy probably had Parkinson's, because of what you just described, the walking. So he went up and he talked to Billy, and he said, Billy, look, this is going to be crazy, but I'm a Parkinson's expert, and I think you have Parkinson's because I just watched you walk, and it seems apparent to me that overwhelmingly apparent, you might want to get that checked out. And he did, and found out that he had Parkinson's. So some Parkinson's is like mild, right? Or like slow degeneration or whatever. And some is like aggressive and crazy. Obviously you have pretty mild Parkinson's, right? Mm-hmm. And is it generally projected to just stay kind of like degrading at a slow rate, like a degradation at a slow rate, or did they talk to you about that?
Oh, I'm in an early stage right now because it's only just beginning to show up in the other half of the body. So, and the first signs showed up probably 2006 in my left hand. I thought I had an essential tremor beginning. And at first it was just when I was really tired, and it wasn't when the hand was at rest. And it's been a slow progression. So I've really kind of got my fingers crossed that it's just going to stay pretty slow. Yeah. It didn't show up super early like Michael J. Fox's did. His showed up very early. And that tends to, he's had, of course, excellent health care, and I've got decent health care. So I'm waiting for them to come up with new medications, new treatments. So, pretty optimistic outlook, I would say.
Yeah. And how is like, when you're shooting and you look at your groups, is there like a big difference, do you think? The first tremor showed up in 2006, so you've kind of had Parkinson's the whole time you've been shooting.
Right.
But do you see any major differences and or your adjustments? Does it help to keep things consistent?
I think it's been so gradual that I haven't really noticed any real change, because as you mentioned, for a large portion of that time, I didn't know I had Parkinson's. So I was probably making subconscious adjustments for that tremor the entire time. And thus far, it's not with locomotion. It's just the tremor.
Yeah. I'm going to have to crack this joke. Well, I mean, you can probably go on forever. If your main metric is just comparing your groups to Howard's, you're going to look fine for a good while.
Both of our challenges.
Sure. Yeah. But this is good. We're talking about this because people need to understand you can still be safe. You can still be involved in guns. You can still be a reasonable shot if you have things going on with you. So I think there's this idea out there. Perhaps it's out there. It would most likely be found in the anti-gun crowd, which is if you have anything about you that's going on that's off kilter a little bit. Oh my God, it's the worst thing in the world for gun safety, right? So that's why we can't have guns, or that's why these kinds of people can't be shooting guns. But if you're quote unquote disabled, or you have a mental health issue that you're dealing with, or you have a thing going on with your nervous system, whatever, if you are an amputee, obviously we can still participate in the awesomeness of guns while these things are going on, as long as you're smart about it. Like both you and Howard are smart enough to know that like you could hit a threshold where you would be like, I think I need to stop shooting guns because this is not going well. I'll just collect them, right? Or something like that.
That's very true. We're both reasonable as far as our risks are. And if it came to the point where either one of us thought that we were presenting a risk to others or ourselves, we wouldn't do it anymore. It's just not okay.
Have you guys had that conversation? Have you had the Parkinson's conversation, quote unquote?
Dribs and drabs. If it ever became cognitive for me, that would definitely be no more guns. In fact, probably no access to guns.
Yeah.
And he would have to have locks separate from that I didn't know the combinations to.
Sure.
But that is very late stage. That isn't everyone who gets Parkinson's, but it does happen. Some people get hallucinations, and I don't think that would be a safe situation to be a shooter and having hallucinations. That would not be acceptable.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I think that kind of, again, like I said it earlier, like sometimes liberty and wisdom aren't in the same neighborhood, right?
Right.
Like the people that harp on just liberty 100% full throttle, fuck you, no matter what. These are not the people that are good for the future of guns, right? There has to be wisdom also. So very, very important. I'm glad that you were willing to talk about this because I don't even know that many of us in the development group, in LGS development group, even know that this is going on with you. But I'm glad. First of all, I'm glad it's mild. I'm glad it's slow. I'm glad we still have you. I'm glad there's good prospects for us being on the range together. I'm glad for all of that because, as you probably know, it has been nothing but a lot of crazy bullshit for me, even within the tighter circles of developing liberal gun owners. There have just been a lot of big personal problems and disruption to people's lives and losing people. And that losing you and not being able to be in the range with you and to be in this process with you would be a fucking nightmare, frankly, for me. So, and I think for everybody else too. So I'm just glad that you have like the cool ass Parkinson's. Like the chill Parkinson's. The Parkinson's, it's like, I just smoke a joint. I'll be fine. I would be cool for like cool ass Parkinson's. So that's good. I hope people can, draw from that. And it's great to, if we're in the range and we do this stuff, like with Howard, I like talking about things and doing adjustments. So this is a good example of this. What I found out with Howard. Number one, usually when it comes to pistol, he needs to take the fucking monkey apparatus robot shit off of his arm. But he still needs to engage the nerves of the arm that's missing the hand, right? Not as much necessarily to brace the pistol, because it kind of doesn't do very much. And he doesn't need to be hanging onto the pistol with a hook and shit. It like makes it worse. He's spending more time with his nervous system keeping up that weight of the apparatus, and it's taking too much from his brain, right? He should just be shooting the goddamn pistol. So if what I found with Howard is if you take off the apparatus, but he does engage the nervous system by bringing the arm up, the arm with no hand, as opposed to just shooting like single-handed, right? If he brings those both up and he doesn't have the apparatus, he has better results. That's the first thing. The second thing that I found is if you move Howard's arms down so that he's not lifting them all the way up. So he's like, if we're looking at the bingo box at the chest, if he shoots low in the box, or if he were to shoot lower to the abdomen or in the box, his precision with the pistol goes up like threefold. Like his groups get super tight. If he tries to shoot straight out from the shoulder, they spread out. And that's telling me something about his nerves, his nervous system, his arthritis. Like, if he's engaging his lats, when his arms are down more, he can engage his lats, and his frame is very predictable and solid. But just 6 inches up with his arms, and the spread of his shots goes wild, right? Because of a number of different things, but because of his nervous system, his musculature, his arthritis. Like, why am I bringing this up? Because being on the range with people who have stuff going on is super informative. Like, it helps us to learn in the development group, like, what's up? Because not everybody that's touching a gun is in 100% fucking awesome shape, right?
That's true.
And also a lot of people that seek defense for themselves are seeking it because they're not strong, because they've got a disability, so on and so forth. So I like this stuff. It fascinates me. That's one of the reasons why I want to be in a fucking car and just drive to Texas. I want to spend a long weekend with the both of you and go shoot and watch and then talk about ideas, because if you're dealing with a tremor and Howard's dealing with having one arm, right? This is informative. I think it's more informative than watching quote unquote normal or abled people. I think we could go to the moon with this shit. So I have a lot of heartache over us losing funding. And one of those things is I can't do these things. I know we could be breaking new ground, or discovering ground perhaps that other people have already discovered and getting onto their modalities and their protocols. But, so again, I'm glad you have cool Parkinson's. So let me see. I want to think about it in terms of the gun stuff. You also have knee shit going on too.
Oh yeah, I've had one completely replaced, one half replaced, and now the other half is crap. So, and it's needs replacement.
Yeah, and Carmen's been out there every training. Well, you missed one because of COVID? I did miss one.
No, it's because one of my knees was so bad that I was having problems walking.
That's right. And the previous year, you were like having to take it easy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, so you missed one. But anyway, yeah, you're out there. You and Howard are out there like the fucking cyborg couple, the fucking mechanical shit, missing limbs, missing joints. It's awesome. That's another thing, right? There's issues with mobility. So we learn about that, right?
Right.
But you're out. This is the good thing about Carmen. I call Carmen the wolf. Partially because we'll talk about this in the early days of the Facebook group. She was one of the Facebook moderating group room. She was one of the few people that did it the way I want to do it, which is like she would just come in and fucking clean house on people, just like, fuck you, you're gone, like bang. And I think so Harvey Keitel's character in Pulp Fiction, right? They called him the cleaner. Like after John Travolta accidentally shot the dude in the head in the back of the car, they needed to clean the car out and all of that, and they called in the cleaner. And I can't remember if the guy, Harvey Keitel's character was named Mr. Wolf. And so he was like, you call in the wolf when you want to clean up the business. And that's why I started calling you the wolf, because of Harvey Keitel. So that's why I call Carmen the wolf, because she's when it's no bullshit time, you need Carmen. You need a Carmen, right? And so, Carmen eats shit with the best of us. Like she'll deal with problems and deal with hard stuff and deal with robot knees and deal with Parkinson's and just keep fucking going. Right. So that's what everybody should know about Carmen. And that's why Carmen's the queen bee.